these MFers don't know what a VPN is,
It
do they?
is
Like
no.
literally, all you need to do is be like, I'm not in Louisiana, I'm in Atlanta. You know, whatever.
No, it's absurd. It's absurd how dumb, and it goes back to what we're saying. Like, why the idea that Feinstein was able to hold on to power as long as she did, that Joe Biden has the potential, Joe Biden or Donald Trump has the potential, one of these people are going to be, the next president in the United States. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Like it's not even an age thing. Like you're obviously not plugged in. Like you're just not plugged in. And
Yeah,
I don't think this thing about age right now of like Joe Biden's too old and Bernie was too old and Trump's too old. I honestly don't think like by the time we get dirt old, I don't think the way our society is, I don't think it's going to be the same. I think like a mentally sharp 80-year-old will be able to be an effective president, congressperson, whatever. And somebody from our generation will be locked in. And that's not just like a hopeful thing. I just think that I tell people all the time, I don't think I'm going to be old. And what I mean by that is if I do make it to old age, I don't think like if a kid's telling me like, yeah, we got the blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh yeah, that was like Fortnite. Oh yeah, that was like TikTok. It was just like all these systems are built on one another. The kind of the dividing line is the internet. I know this is like a broader theory now, but I'm saying like is like the invention of the telephone, then the internet, and now everything kind of runs through that to where I think about my grandfather who grew up, he was one generation away from, his grandparents were slaves. Not one generation, but his grandparents were slaves. There were no airplanes, no telephone. Then the telephone's invented. No computers. Then like the personal computers invented. Then people are flying around. Then on airplanes. He's in World War II. And it's like all the stuff that he saw. He literally saw the Earth, culture, civilization change so drastically by the end of his life.
through like
He didn't know what was going on. But I don't think we're gonna be like that.
you never know, man. There might be another industrial revolution, but
That's what it would have to be. That's what
yeah.
That's what we're talking
But
about.
like we've actually kind of lived through that in terms of communications, like a communications revolution when it came to a lot more digital things, like the rise of the internet. Because like, I mean, when I was in like middle school, high school, that's when the internet becoming a thing, and you're like instead of using, you know, paper dictionaries or whatever, you're using online sources to write your research papers or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and so we kind of grew up in the middle of that change, and like the people that still make the rules because they didn't become adults until long after that was already established. I mean that came established like long after their brain had just sort of like metastasized to the point where it can't like it's not flexible no more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then then it came up like Diane Feinstein's a perfect example because she died at what like 90 93 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like what she was what 70 something 60 something in like 1993 when the internet was like becoming a thing. So I mean yeah, it's just like one of these sorts of in one respect it's almost like impossible for you to expect somebody to like change their entire understanding of something like that when they're old, but like also at the same time if they can't do that then why are they running everything in the world, why are they in charge of it, you know what I mean?
Right. I guess
um,
okay. So do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm 42. I'm 8 years away from 50 years old. That's crazy to imagine. Half a century, right? And after we get off this call, I'm going to play video games and stream them over the internet.
yeah.
That's not an old person's game. You
No,
see what I
because
mean?
what we think of as old is not that. What young people think of as old is probably not that specifically. But
Mm-hmm.
there's something, and it's not even necessarily totally cultural. Well, I guess maybe it is, but it's like technological or just the way that we talk to one another or whatever. But there is something where somebody who is 22 or whatever will be like, "Oh man, that dude's streaming on Twitch or whatever. Something about him is old." I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
it
mean,
is.
no, I'm old. I'm old right now. What I'm saying is, I understand how these things work. It's like even things that I don't use Instagram, right? Like that I'm like, what? Y'all are messaging each other on Instagram, on the IG and the gram and all that? I don't use it because I'm too old for that. But I understand it. Like it's not there was no it's not I had to go run a message 3 miles up the road to telephone.
Yeah. You can order that on you have an app deliver it for you now.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's the way the technologies are built on. Now what you're saying is correct. There could be a completely new something completely revolutionary that we don't see. But as far as like everything that's like, wow, that's crazy, like AI. Okay, AI is changing and getting better by the day. But it's still tapping in. When I go to ChatGPT and I say do a thing, it's taking the way it's taking its quote unquote knowledge, it's drawing it from the internet. So it's taking a Google search and putting it into something tangible, a picture, a script, something like that. To where I can't tell Google to do that, but I can tell an AI to do that, and an AI will go to Google and then pull that information and make what I want. So all these technologies are one built on top of another. It's not like there was no thing. It's not there was no movie theater, and then all of a sudden there's movies, and then after that there's talkies, and then after that they're in color, but it's still a movie.